Hi everyone, Judy here from River City Sewing, bringing you a special unboxing of the new Bernina B495 Liberty Edition. Okay, so we've just literally got off the truck and brought it in here to the classroom so that I can open it up and show you all what's inside the box here in Australia for this beautiful B495 Liberty Edition. Okay, so as you can see, first thing you'll notice on the outside of the box is we've got some styling for the Liberty patterning with the flowers on the box. So as you can see, haven't even undone the outside straps yet, so it's very much, let's have a look and see what's inside. So let's get rid of all of those. Okay, now that we've got that formality out of the way, let's have a look at what's inside the box. So these are our demo models, and we generally get demo models before the pre-orders come out. So we'll go through these together. So first thing we'll notice is we've got a beautiful little welcome from Bernina International from Mr. Ulchi, and talking about registration. So here's a lovely little one with the beautiful Liberty styling on it. So really beautiful little opening to the box. So I'm just going to pop that aside. So in the top of the box we've got places for the accessories. So we've got the clear accessory tray, or not accessory tray, the sewing table. So that's in the top. Then we've got your knee lift. So that comes in the top of the box. So there's your knee lift ready to go. And underneath, I'm just going to pop that packaging aside. Then we've got our manual with our warranty inside. I'm going to open this up so we can have another look, because it's all about the unboxing and seeing what's inside each of the packages. So here's the product warranty. Does not want to come open. There we go. So that's your warranty card. You'll need to go and do all the instructions for that. You've got your accessory book, which is great because you'll probably need some extra accessories to do all these fun things. However, here is your user manual, all styled in with the Liberty Edition styling to it. On the back as well, you'll see some of the stitches, and we'll get into them a little bit later as we explore the machine. So all of those information about the machine is in here, so we're going to refer to that a little bit as we go through the get to know your machine a little bit later on. Okay, so user manual. In the next level, okay, so we have our accessory holder, otherwise known as, we call it, term it the Barbie Dream House, okay, to put all your feet and accessories in. So that's in there. We have the feet pack, and we'll go through them in a minute. And we have some needles and some thread and the power cord. So we'll pop all them aside and we're going to come back to those. Whoops. Nearly tripping over my microphone. All right, so let's just make us a little space for the star of the show to come out. This is the beautiful Liberty dust cover. So bear with me as I remove the machine. I'm just going to pop this box down on the floor so I don't trip over. Okay, so here's your foot control. I'm going to take that out. Okay, now that I've wrangled with the boxes and the foam and the packaging, I put all that aside and I put everything up here on the bench so that we can go through it individually and you can see just what is in the box with your new Bernina B495 Liberty Edition special machine. Okay, so I waited to take the covers off and the packaging off so that you can see what it looks like. Okay, so I won't keep you in suspense any longer. So the one thing to remember is that there are foam in different spots, but before I turn the machine on, I have to remove them. So there's one underneath here to give it support as it does its travelling around. So there's usually a gel. Keep that with your packaging for a while because that's a little moisture collector. Okay, it helps keep your machine dry. All right, so here we go. Here is your first look at what the styling looks like on the B495. It's beautiful blue with the little green, sagey green tones to it. So there's some blue tapes. We need to make sure that we remove those before we turn the machine on. And there's a special little section on the side where there's an important note to remove this yellow clip before we turn the machine on, because this is just a traveling clip. So we can just gently pull that forward. That basically goes around the needle bar and underneath the foot. So that needs to come off before you turn it on, okay? So we can put the needle up. I like to have needle up. And then I can remove that little instruction sheet because it's covering your power inlet, okay? So make sure that please do that before you turn it on, all right? So they've thought of everything, these wonderful people at the factory. Right, so let's have a look at the anatomy of the machine. As a B495 for us in Australia, this has been, we haven't had a 495 for a very long time. So this here is quite pretty. The styling has a texture to it as well. So it's not just a flat print. It has, the flowers have a little bit of texture, which is really lovely. So you've got your main screen, your width and length of dials here, your needle position the same, needle up, down, and you've got all your other function buttons here all the same, okay, needle threader. We also have the Bernina B hook, which is the larger bobbins, okay, so for those of you who have had some machines, oh, let me just cut that. This is the larger bobbins with the jumbo, okay, so they've given you some lovely thread on their factory after they've done their testing. So it's interesting that every person who tests the machine at the end signs off on their machine with this little quality control tag that goes on. So this little tag that you see that comes with your machine, someone's actually signed off on that. So to say that they've tested it, everything's wonderful. So thank you, whoever did that. So now we're going to turn it on. But let's have a look at the other accessories that come. So with your power cord, it's a nice long one. So let me just open that up. Most of our accessories we put back in the box while it's on display, but you'll all get a lot out of these accessories at home for you. Now, I'm just going to go and plug it in. Make sure you have a surge protector for your machine so that you can protect it from any influences in power currents and things like that. Let me get back in front here. Okay, so we do have the lovely silver Bernina logos here with the cross X Liberty here. So it's really all in silver, all in that grey. It's just lovely, and even all the Bernina signage on here is all in that silver toning, which is lovely. So everything matches beautifully. All right, so when we turn on, sometimes you just have to give it a second. Now just watch, this little bobbin winder, sometimes when you take it out of the box, can turn on and you hear a funny noise. Just make sure that's all the way to the right. Otherwise you'll hear a buzzy noise like a bee. Okay, that's just the bobbin winder working. So hello miss, here we go. it's asking me now. We're going to do the setup here for the screen, and I'm just checking. You're going to need those in a second. You can, as many different languages that you can put your machine in. Just please understand that and make sure that you know the language that you're going to put it in. If English is a second language for you, there is, make sure in this first screen that you set up for the language that you understand best, okay? So we're going to go, for me, it's English, and that's asking me to put my foot up. So all of our functions and features will be in for English speaking people. Now I've selected it. Yours will be in whatever language you chose, okay? So this is the sample of the satin stitch that they've taken at the factories to say that they've done it. And the screen is set up, for those of you who already have Berninas, you'll be very familiar with the screen, okay? So let me tell you a little bit about what comes with the machine. So this is the lovely brochure, and on the back I'm going to be giving you some technical information here. So the maximum sewing speed of this machine is 900 stitches a minute, okay? You have 7 inches from the right of the needle inside here, so you've got quite a bit of room to go there. The colour touchscreen is 4.3 inches, so it's a good size. It's right in front of you so that you can see what's happening with your sewing and with your selection. It's a 5.5 millimetre machine, and we know that because Bernina code their machines, and if it has a 5 on the end, that means it's a 5.5 millimetre machine. That means how wide your zigzag or your stitches can go is 5.5 millimetres. All right, that's all that means. Okay. You have a maximum stitch length, so the longest length you can do on a stitch is 6 millimetres. So it's quite long if you're doing lots of basting, or if you want to tack down something, then you've got quite long stitches. And these multifunction knobs here control the width of the stitch, and you'll see this change here at the top. And we've also got our length, so we can go right up to 6 millimetres. So depending on what stitch you chose, machine also remembers, it has like temporary memory. So if you've, like I just did there, change my straight stitch into a zigzag and select something else and come back to that stitch, it remembers. So you don't have to do the adjustments again. When you turn your machine off, it will clear those and go back to default. All right, now you can save those stitches if you keep having to adjust them all the time. You can save them under a favorite, which it has the little heart here in the machine. So if you find yourself and you like to do a project and you've set a stitch for a certain width and length, and you keep finding yourself going and adjusting all the time, save it to your favorites. There is a way to do that. So and you're not having to do that all the time. So it's fully featured, beautiful, lovely machine here. So we've got the semi-automatic needle threader here. We have scissors on board that cut your threads once you finish sewing. You have obviously reverse, lock off, start and stop button. Okay, so these start and stop buttons work really well for things like if you're doing buttonholes or things, you know, you've got long lines of decorative stitching or things like that. They come in really handy for those. We have speed control, so you can speed limit yourself on how fast you would like to sew. Sometimes you might want to slow yourself down if you're a little bit heavy on the accelerator, you know. So this speed controls what we do, and we can stop with the needle up or down depending on what type of sewing we like, what kind of, you know, style you like to sew with. Machine has its functions that it'll stop with needle down. As long as I press that little button there, every time it'll stop with the foot down. Okay, so this is a manual press a foot lift, so it's just going to stay there and hold onto your fabric. We do have the knee lift. So the knee lift, for those of you who are not quite sure what this does, it's great because it saves you having to come around and lift your foot each time that you want to do something or turn or whatever, and that just goes in here. Oh. So the knee lift plugs in here, you can just see, and you can see what happens when I use the knee lift. And generally we're going to use the knee lift with my right leg, and I'll pull it across and I'll move that presser foot up and down. That's what happens with the knee lift. So if you can get to learn how to get used to sewing with your left foot on your foot control, you can use your right foot to control what happens with the presser foot. So you can keep your two hands on your fabric at any one particular time. So that's really a good function. So knee lift on, all those things. So from there, we're going to have a talk about stitches. But in the meantime, we do have on the side of the machine a couple of little ports here. One is a USB and one is connection to a computer. Okay, so if there's an update needs to happen for the machine at any particular point in time, that USB port is where you would do that update. Now, sewing machines generally have less updates than normal embroidery machines, but there'll be times where the engineers want to tweak something or improve something. So that's how we would do an update for the machine. Okay, so being a sewing only machine, there's lots of fun stitches inside, lots of decorative stitches, and in the total of these ones is 1,027 stitches. That includes all your utilities, the alphabets, every single letter of the alphabets that are inside. In that 1,027 stitches is 32 limited edition Liberty designs that are exclusive for these machines. Okay, I've moved the camera a little bit closer so that you can see a little bit more of the screen, and then we can go through some of these other accessories that we have here with the machine. So I'm just using my little brush as a stylus here right now. Stylus would be the first thing I would purchase for the machine. You can get one that sits right here on the side, and it just makes it easy so you're not seeing my big fingers here on the touchscreen. Now this touchscreen is made so that you can use your fingers, but I recommend that's one of the first things that you get. So you can scroll through here, and in this little folder here with the flower on the front is your Liberty designs. Oops, let me touch that one again. So here are all your decorative stitches. So you can see, let's go back. So these are the lovely Liberty exclusive stitches that you can stitch out, and some of them are on the back of the actual manual itself. I was just checking to see, because like I said, we've just literally got this one out of the box. Okay, so in the manual, and I'll show you where this is, it's on page 115. These are all pictures of all of your stitches in the machine, and here are your Liberty ones. Now you can combine them together, or you can just do them individually, and they'll go up to the size of, you can adjust the width and the length, all those kinds of things, and you can use combi mode to add more of them together to make a sequence and do something pretty. But they're all in the one menu, which is the Liberty menu, which is starts with 7200. Okay, so on the machine itself, we've got our hardware screen here on the side, tension, basically what foot we're using, presser foot pressure. So this one asks us to select the foot that we're going to use, and we've got the one foot on right now. Presser foot pressure is a dial that's on the side of the machine here, and it can be adjusted according to the thickness of your fabric. Here we can tell the machine feed dogs up or down, and there's a little button that it depresses here in the side that you can push in and it drops your feed dogs. Okay, so if I do that, feed dogs are dropped, and then when I release that, I turn the hand wheel 1 revolution and you'll hear the machine re-engage those feed dogs. Then down the other side, we've got our bobbin indicator. So it gives us, when we touch that button, it gives us an indication of how to thread the bobbin, all that kind of thing. When your bobbin's getting low, There's a little sensor in here with some little windows that it goes through, and once it starts to see light through those windows, it starts to flash. Okay, so you can play bobbin chicken as much as you like, but this will keep flashing until it runs out. All right, but if you forget how to put your bobbin in, there's only one way it can go into the bobbin case, which is great, and it just shows you how to click the thread in and set that bobbin case for you. On the fun side, as I call it, on this side, we've got all the stitches. So the first menu is all your utility stitches, the everyday stuff, like your zigzag, straight stitch, mending stitches, all those kinds of things. Right through to, you know, the tacking stitches, overcasting, all those. The second lot of stitches in here is all of your decoratives, and they're in folders, and it gives you a bit of an idea of what's inside. But in the manual, you can have a look through and see another picture of those as it goes through some of those menus there. But they're really fun to explore, and they're all sort of sorted out together in there. The next one is your alphabets. Now, you've got a couple of alphabets. You've got your basic one, your outlined one, your cursive one, and you've got a couple of other fun ones in there. Cyrillic, and there's the hiragana there. So, you know, you can have fun with those. They look good, even using some of these as, you know, spaces and other things, because they're quite interesting shapes. So explore that, and you would use them in the combination mode. Okay, so if you're going to use lettering, you've got the capitals, you've got some of the Cyrillics, and you've got some symbols, and you've got lowercase and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so you've got lots to choose from within the one alphabet in that sequence. The next menu item down here at the side is your buttonholes. So down here you can directly select the buttonhole with your buttonhole foot on, which is your 3A. Comes with the machine, and be careful, this one is in the foam of the packaging when you unpack the box. So check your foam, because you'll need to find this one. It's too large to put with all your other feet, too delicate. They actually pack it in the foam. So that's your 3A. Okay, it connects onto the machine so that you have it can measure the buttonhole for you. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Then we go through to the quilting stitches, and this is a whole series of piecing stitches, and there's some stitches in there that are sized to be like 6 stitches per inch, 8 per inch, 10 per inch, irregular. You've got your blanket stitch for appliques, loads of different fun stitches in there. Okay, so they've grouped them together so they're all in the one spot, so you don't have to keep jumping through menus for all these different things. And last but not least, as we mentioned before, you have the heart, which is things that you've saved into the machine that you want to recall again later, your favorites, your heart. Okay, so they would come up in here, and we get a special menu that asks us, would we like to take designs out of the folder? Do we want to put the sequence out of a folder? Do we want to put it in the folder, or do we want to delete stuff? Okay, so as you get used to your machine, you'll be able to play with that a little bit, and yeah, it's quite good. Now, the other fun thing, while we're on the screen, one of the last things I want to show you here is that whilst we have all those mechanical and function keys on this side, we also have edit keys underneath the information, which are tucked away in case we need them. In this case, everything that we can use is active, and it's light grey. Anything we can't use is greyed out. All right, so we can mirror image something, we can mirror image top to bottom, we can space them apart in this case, and we can do the stitch balance. If I was using a regular stitch, let me get out of combi mode and I'll show you, say this, let me find something that's a little bit easier to see. Hopefully you can see that a bit better. So this leaf is pointing this way. If I use my mirror image, I can turn it from side to side. If I want the points going up, I can basically turn it from upside down, horizontally, or vertically, sorry. And you have a lot of other options. This other one asks me how many do I like, how many do I want to stitch out. So I can do 2 or 3 and then the machine will stop, which is really cool. So there's got little functions underneath each of these depending on which stitch that you choose. And once you select something, it basically turns yellow so that you know that there's a change, okay? So if I deselect all my options, or I can just press clear, it'll take it back to its original default setting. Okay, so that's what the clear button here is on the other side. All right, so every stitch is going to be a little bit different to what it gives you here. And if you have selected something like I did before, you can just press clear, it takes it back to default. And there are all different options that come up underneath this menu. So rather than populate the screen all the time, the engineers have put it underneath that eye. Okay, so that's basic operation of the machine. There'll be a little bit more in your mastery book for this, but in here we have, on the side we have that clear button which I showed you, and then we have the help key. This is direct help. So when I touch the help, which I call it the I forget key, all right, you can touch, once it goes blue and you see that this little question mark in the middle, I can touch anywhere on the screen, and well, if there's help available to tell you what it is, it will explain what that symbol or what that number means. All right, so I've just touched the stitch width. So that means if I'm using this button, I can adjust it. If I touch this button, I can adjust my stitch width here. I can use micro adjustments here. So, and if I touch the middle of this one, it will go back to normal. But the idea of the help key is to help you navigate around and find your way, especially at the beginning when you first get your machine. It saves you getting this out, okay? But the funnest thing you have, other than this beautiful machine with the covers and everything, is you have this home button, which gives you a few other functions. One of them is, this is where your settings are. This is your onboard tutorials. So if you ever get lost and you're not quite sure of what to do, go home, go to home, go to your tutorials on there, and there'll be some information in here about what to do. If you forget to know how to oil the machine, we go into troubleshooting, lubricating the machine, and you'll get a little video of how to take bob and case out and do all that kind of stuff. So that's your onboard manual that supplements this one, okay? Because some of them have got little things. This one on the end with the little leaf, basically, if you want to have a break from your machine, it basically turns everything off it doesn't need. Machine's still on, but allows you to, you know, go and have a cup of tea, have some lunch, have a break, you know, walk around a little bit, and it basically turns the lights off. Then when you come back, you press the little leaf, and it'll bring you back into where you were before, like here in this sewing menu. If you want to go back to your sewing screen, you just touch sewing and you're back to where you are. But in home, we also have a really great functional feature. For those of you who'd like to do a little bit of dressmaking or are learning how to do that, then you've got your creative consultant in here. So in here, these, and this is where your I forget key becomes really handy, because you can, these represent different types of fabric. So if you touch your help button, you can touch any one of these symbols and it'll give you a list of what that symbol represents, the fabric type. So in this case, medium weight woven, and it gives you a whole lot of different fabric types there. So it helps you decide which one is the right one for what you're trying to sew. So if I, and these ones here are the stretch ones, so that's medium weight knit. So if you're not quite sure, have a look through those. Use your I forget key, or what they call the help key, to have a look and see if this is the right fabric for what you're using. So what happens with this is, if I select stretch, I then have the fabric, then I have a number of techniques here that I can use to go through and do these different techniques. So if I wanted to do a buttonhole on that particular fabric, I just select buttonhole. Then the machine says, okay, well, you've got stretch fabric, so I'm suggesting that you put an SUK needle, which is a ballpoint needle, polyester thread. This is the stitch I'm going to select for you. This is the foot you need to put on, and you need to have a little bit of interfacing in there so the buttonhole works out better. So that's the information and the guidance that the machine's giving you. Once you say, okay, select that, then it's going to set up for you and select the right buttonhole. It's really good. Great for all types of sewers, especially, you know, if you've been sewing for a long time and just been using a standard buttonhole, you might find that this feature is really, really good. Okay, so the creative consultant is there to help you get the best result for your sewing. And because you are telling the machine and setting the machine up with what you are using, it's going to make your sewing, you know, it'll just make it easier so that you don't have to remember to, you know, it does the prompts, reminds you, use this needle, I'm going to select the right stitch for you, and it's going to give you guidance and set up the machine for the tension and all those kinds of things, which is great. So that's your home section and your creative consultant. And again, here is the sections where you can personalize your machine in the settings. But otherwise, that's a little bit of an overview of the sewing screen. So now that I've given you your little orientation on your machine, let's have a look at the rest of those accessories that have come with this model. So we've seen the manual. We have a cleaning brush. We have a canister of bobbins. So you've got some extra bobbins in there. You have a felt foam pad, and that sits generally here on the top of your machine when you're using. You have your little oiler with the really pointy spout, so it helps you oil your bobbin. It's in a special bag, so keep that little bag, and that way everything's nice and neat. You have a couple of spool caps. You have actually 3 of them in this particular case. Where can you see me? Okay. So we have the tiny one. Okay, we have the medium size and the big size. Okay, rule of thumb with these is when you put these on, make sure your spool is the same, this spool cap is the same size or smaller than your thread spool is. Okay, so if you use the big Gudemans, that would be okay. If you're using Metler or one of those, these are fine. If you're using Resant, that might be a good one, either of those two. Just make sure it's smaller than, this spool cap is actually smaller than the size of your spool, because if it's too big, it's going to drag thread over the top of it as it sits up here. So as the machine as it delivers the thread, you don't want to have a tiny spool on there and the thread running over the top of it. It's just going to throw your tension out a little bit because you're putting extra tension on the spool cap, okay, as the thread runs over it. So 3 sizes of spool cap, and I can tell you, be careful of this one because sometimes it gets stuck in with some of your spools, but you got 3, all right? So they're really cool. You have the other 3 pieces in this first bag is your height compensation tool. So if you're going over big seams and things like that, that sits underneath the back of your foot. Let me just bring that. Okay, so say your foot was looking a little bit, it's set up a bit tall, you could put this underneath the back of your foot to level out your foot as you start off. There's 3 little slides that come together to give you 3 different heights. All right, so that's the height compensation tool. You have a screwdriver to help you change the needle, okay, and all that kind of stuff. And you've got a Bernina seam ripper, because we all need one of those, right? Because no matter if we've been sewing for how many years, we still need sometimes to take some stitches out. So they're all there in this bag, so they all come in this section together. All right, so I'm going to put them back in. The other bag with feet, let's go through and show you what's in there. So in this one we've got an assortment of needles, 70, 80, 90, okay, universal. Okay, so if you're going to do some stretch sewing or you're going to do some other things, you might need to top yourself up with some needles for that. Universal are great for quite a few things, but you may need some extras as you go through your sewing projects. You have a little black, white and red selection from Metla. There's a little gift in there on the Bernina colours, so that's quite fun. We have that Metla in the store if you wanted to continue with that. So inside here, and these eventually would go in your Barbie dream house of your accessories. We have all the feet that come with the machine, and I'm going to go through each one. Now you've got the number 1 foot on. Now give me my little chart here. So we have the number 1. There's 8 feet in total. Number 2 is your overlock foot. Okay, so it goes over the edge, does those overlock style stitches. We have number 3A, which I showed you before, which is the buttonhole automatic. We have the zipper foot, which is the number 4, which is nice and little. Okay. We have the blind stitch foot, which is the number 5. Okay, so all of those utility type ones. We have the edge stitch foot, the number 10. So if you want to join things, and this is great foot because it moves, you can move the needle from side to side to give you a guide here in the middle, and you can move your needle position left or right, which is really good. So that's a special one. The open toe embroidery foot. So that's to do all those lovely decorative stitches. Okay, so that's here. And they've given you a 37 patchwork foot as well. So all your patchworkers out there who, you know, you've got another 37 foot already. Okay, so if you like a foot that has a guide, we can set you up with a 57, but the 37 is the one that comes with the machine. So whilst it doesn't come with, this machine can take the Bernina stitch regulator, the BSR. There's a port for it at the back here. That's an optional extra if you would like one. For purchase, we can order one of those for you. We showed you earlier when we took it out of the box, the slide-on table. So I'm just going to slide that on now so you can see the whole picture. Oops. There we go. So nice clear one, which is great. We can see through to the bobbin zone and see what happens with that. And last but not least, and I know you've all been waiting for this one, is what does the dust cover look like? And it's in the same print as the machine has on its front cover. So let's get it out of the bag. Oops. I'm going to turn the machine off because it's a good way to do that. When you put the dust cover on, she is pretty. Okay, so it has the Liberty, Bernina X Liberty here, as well as it has a pocket on the side for the foot control and one in the back for the sew table to go in. So really quite beautiful. So as a combination, these work beautifully. So there you have it. I'll just move the camera slightly. So there you have the Bernina 495 Liberty Edition. We're available now here at River City Sewing. We look forward to showing you up and close and personal with the machine, and look, if you know, it's just so pretty. It's going to be a lovely machine for you to sew on and treasure for many years to come. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it and look forward to seeing you in store really soon. Thanks. Bye for now.